What is going on, guys, and welcome back to the Sixers Digest YouTube channel. The day we have finally been waiting for has arrived, and no, it is not a James Harden trade, but a Dame Lillard trade has finally gone down, and it looks like it will have some future implications on the Sixers. So I'm here to break down what that means, how the Sixers can be involved, and just breathe a sigh of relief that has finally happened. Now, before I dive fully into it, I would like to make sure that you guys are hitting the subscribe button. As of now, over 90% of you guys watching this video have not subscribed. We are right near that 1,000 subscribers mark, so I want to hit it. I want to make sure this is the video that hits it. And you know what? Even if it is there, I hope by the time that you're watching that, we are at that 1,000 subscriber mark. But still hit that button, ring that bell. We got a ton of awesome plans coming up for the season. We are finally getting close to basketball season, and I cannot wait. But today, I do want to break down the Dame Lillard trade, who, of course, was traded to the Milwaukee Bucks. The full trade here, Damian Lillard heading to the Bucks. The Trailblazers getting back Jrue Holiday, DeAndre Ayton, Toumani Camara, a 2029 first-round pick, the Bucks pick swap, and the Suns are walking away with Yusuf Nurkic, Nazir Little, Keon Johnson, and Grayson Allen. A little surprising to see the Suns get involved. We know this is a team with a ton of money put out for the likes of Bradley Beal, Kevin Durant, Devin Booker. They are very much in the championship contending window, and there also might not be a worse personality in the entire NBA than DeAndre Ayton on the value that they are just swallowing on this deal. That is, I guess, the buy low target that the Trailblazers are looking at, is maybe they can fix him, but it has not been a seamless fit for DeAndre Ayton for his entire career in Phoenix. He's still just 25, so I think it was the addition by subtraction for them to get rid of him from a personality standpoint. I think the Blazers are buying into the mindset of maybe he can unpackage more. But what I really want to talk about today is the Sixers getting involved here. And the number one name in that, and the biggest deal from the Dame Lillard standpoint, is Jrue Holiday. That Jrue Holiday was sent to the Portland Trailblazers. We know that they were trying to get rid of Dame, that this has been an ongoing process, but they're very much at the beginning of their whole process of development. That they have Shaedon Sharpe, they have Anthony Simons, they have Scoot Henderson. They have these young pieces that they need to allow to develop. And it doesn't quite make sense for Jrue Holiday to be a part of that. Now, I will say that Jrue Holiday is a better fit on the roster than Dame Lillard, but nonetheless, the timelines do not match. That a team with a core of Scoot Henderson, Anthony Simons, and Shaedon Sharpe is absolutely not competing for a championship right now, but it's also not a team that is likely going to end up with a top 3 pick next year. So I'm going to bring that up again as I shift into the next part of this. But the Sixers were reported to be having interest in Jrue Holiday. Kyle Neubeck originally had it first, and he said the Sixers are interested in trying to acquire Jrue Holiday, per a source familiar with their thinking. Will obviously be a robust market for him, but Philadelphia expected to see what it'll take to reroute him. I do expect Jrue Holiday to be traded to another location, but the Sixers are going to be far from the only bidders. And Jake Fisher of Yahoo Sports shed a little more light on the topic here. I want to dive into all of this together and kind of give my takes on it and break it down. So stick with me. I know this is a little bit of a mouthful, but Jake Fisher wrote, "Perhaps Holiday entering the trade market presents more flexibility for the Sixers and James Harden. Philadelphia has indeed registered its interest in Holiday with Portland," league sources told Yahoo Sports. And there seems to be an obvious 3-team structure that benefits Portland, Philadelphia, and Los Angeles, where Holiday returns to the franchise that drafted him in Philadelphia, Harden gets his wish and joins the Clippers, and the Blazers receive first-round picks from each team. Los Angeles has not been willing to offer more than one selection to Philadelphia for Harden, sources said. The Clippers have also not been willing to include versatile swingman Terrence Mann. But if the Sixers and Daryl Morey could spin a potential holdout with Harden into a motivated Holiday for the cost of one of Philadelphia's future picks and Harden's $35.6 million salary, that would be a fantastic value for all parties involved. But then, maybe the Clippers abandon all pursuit of Harden to go after Holiday in their own right. So a lot to unpack there. Number one, more confirmation that these Sixers are interested in Jrue Holiday. We know Jrue Holiday very well. I'll get to my full thoughts on Holiday, but for this structure exactly, this is very reliant on it being a 3-team deal. That there is nothing on the Sixers roster that I see matching up for a Holiday trade. I don't see anyone that would jump out to the Trailblazers, and even, first off, if they're not going to include Tyrese Maxey in a trade for Dame Lillard, they're obviously not going to can throw Maxey in a deal for Jrue Holiday. That there are levels to this, and Maxey is likely in the conversation for Jrue Holiday as far as the impact that he makes as a player. I like Jrue Holiday. Jrue Holiday is a lot of things. He's a awesome connector. He's a guy that you can plug and play on just about any roster, and that he does contribute in a winning way. He's a defensive player of the year like player, probably not to that point at this point in his career, that he has fallen off a little. But one thing I do know about Jrue Holiday is he's also not a guy that I can consider a franchise cornerstone. And the reason I can say that so confidently is we have lived through that here in Philadelphia. That at the start of this entire process, it was Jrue Holiday was the guy. That this was Jrue Holiday and Evan Turner's team. At the tail end of Andre Iguodala, when things went to be handed off to the next generation, it was supposed to be Jrue Holiday and Evan Turner. The unfortunate reality of that is that was a team destined for an 8th seed or barely missing the playoffs year in and year out. Now, yes, Evan Turner is the significantly bigger bust out of the two, that he underwhelmed his expectations far more than Jrue Holiday, and Jrue Holiday deserves a ton of credit for growing into a positive contributor and being a guy who found his niche in the NBA. He was a perfect fit for that Milwaukee team and played a massive role in getting them over that championship window. But now we're going to be asking him to do a little more if he is in Philadelphia. I guess this is more of a debate or more of, a gamble that you're thinking Tyrese Maxey can truly take those next steps. And I do love the potential of a Jrue Holiday and Tyrese Maxey backcourt. Jrue can pick up a lot of the slack of Maxey on the defensive end, that he's a guy that, as I mentioned, you can kind of pair him with whoever, and he will be a positive player on the court. He can pass a little bit. He can create his own shot a little bit. He's a great defender. He's a guy that checks a lot of the boxes. He does the little things. But I guess my point being that he seems a guy that is better as a connector, not as a focal point. An example that I'll compare this to, and Jrue Holiday is obviously a better player than this guy, but Aaron Gordon with the Denver Nuggets. That for a lot of Aaron Gordon's career, he was kind of looked at to be that guy. He was a top 5 pick coming out of Arizona. He was a guy that was looked at very highly by the Magic, and there were moments where you could see it. He would drop 25 in a game. He would have his flashes, that you could see the talent there. But the best usage of him was not as a scorer. It was a guy like his role on the Nuggets that does the little things, that plays hard defense, that makes up for others, is a lob threat, checks all the boxes that the team needs, and does the little things. I do think that's Jrue Holiday's best role. Now, is there room for that on the Sixers? Absolutely. And would flipping James Harden for Jrue Holiday be a win at this point in time? I still would consider it so. But is it this missing piece? Probably not. And I also think the bottom line, and probably the most pessimistic part of this, is I just don't see these Sixers having the horses to run with other these teams when it comes to a bidding war. That you have to think about the Miami Heat right now, who have been connected to Dame Lillard. It has never been clearer of a player wanting to play for a franchise or being traded to a specific franchise than Dame Lillard to the Miami Heat, and it didn't happen. So now what? Miami this offseason has lost Gabe Vincent and Max Strus, two of their two starting guards in the playoffs last year, both guys that averaged double digits, were high-level contributors, and they would not have made that NBA Finals run without. They're no longer on the team, and there really was not a clean replacement. I mean, right now they're talking about 36-year-old or however old Kyle Lowry is being the starting guard last year, and it was a wise decision by Miami to limit Lowry's minutes last year and make sure that he could kind of be fresh for a nice 15 or 20-minute burst in the playoffs, and he did. He provided positive minutes in that. But now you're asking him to do that for a full 82-game season and then get to the playoffs? I just don't see that working either. So you have to think Miami's licking their chops a little at getting in on the mix. If they want Jrue Holiday, I feel like it is their battle to lose. But I don't think they're going to be the only team. And a point that Jake Fisher brought up here that I think is very valid is, what if the Clippers look at this and say, forget James Harden, let's take Jrue Holiday. This is a guy that we know is going to show up, that is going to be a good teammate, that the highs and lows of Jrue Holiday are so far fewer that, no, you're never going to have the day where he lights the team up for 45 points, can't miss, and wins the game almost single-handedly. But you're also not going to have the games where Jrue Holiday costs you games in the same way that it is James Harden. That is the frustrating part about James Harden, is he is the highest of highs, and he's at the lowest of lows. That we see those good games, we see those bad games, and it feels rare that we just have that solid James Harden performance, that he was good tonight. He did his job at a high level. He was effective. He didn't do too much. It's never that. It's always this, he was terrific, he was unbelievable, or it was just, he turned the ball over a bunch, was too slow with his pace, all these things. And because of his niche style, it does make it interesting. So I do think there's a real chance that the Clippers look at this and think, whatever, maybe we just turn our attention to Jrue Holiday. And the other part that I want to note across this whole thing is just the overall value for a trade. I mean, who can look at this package and think that is a star-level package? That is a Damian Lillard package. And I understand these circumstances dictate this, that Dame Lillard being more open than, once again, just about any player ever as far as his desire to get traded. So much so that the league has stepped in and basically told him to shut up and stop talking about it. It's going to take the price down. But the issue is James Harden is in the exact same shoes, and there's just not as much meat on the bones with James Harden when it comes to what he has left in his career. That's just the blunt reality of it. And this is especially the case when James Harden is still doing things like putting up a Daryl Morey is a liar on a bottle service sign as he is out right now. And by the way, that video right there was from 5 days ago at this point, so I don't know where he was, what the whole situation was, but I can see the timestamp from 5 days ago. I just saw it on Twitter today, so unbelievable. The bottom line is it should not, cover up for how crazy that act is, and James Harden is not doing himself any favors. if the market is already this low for Dame Lillard, I am concerned what an ultimate return for James Harden is. And that's a bummer. And I do think that as much as I do believe the Dame Lillard deal finally being done does accelerate things from the Sixers standpoint or from the NBA standpoint, it's kind of like everybody getting back to reality and getting into their things. I do think there's a chance a team like the Miami Heat could look to take a chance on James Harden. But it also, I'm just not overwhelmed at that return. If Dame Lillard is that return, I am a little concerned what exactly we can get back from James Harden at this point in time. For now, the ball is now in the Sixers' court that the number one most unhappy superstar has finally been dealt with. Now it is time to shift to number 2 with James Harden. And who knows? We will see what happens from here. We will see if Jrue Holiday can find a way to be packaged to Philadelphia. I'm sure that would be met with a ton of rejoice, but we will just see from here. That it feels like today is a day where a lot happened. There is still a lot to be unpacked, and it is a little bit of a monumental day in the NBA. And by the way, I love this move for the Bucks. I hate to say it, but the East runs through Milwaukee now. So let me know your guys' thoughts on this video as a whole, your thoughts on the James Harden landing spot, if there's any chance the Sixers could land Jrue Holiday, and if you would actually want to see that, if you think he could be a missing piece on elevating this franchise. And once again, make sure you're hitting that subscribe button, ringing that bell so you're not missing out on any content. Like I said, we got plenty planned as the season comes forward, so I look forward to talking with you guys next time. Peace.